Reviewing Week 11 in college football here at SBR Forum Videos. I'm Peter Loshak. We're talking right now with brand new contributor to SBR Forum Video Football Previews, Joe Duffy from OffshoreInsiders.com. And we talked a little bit about Joe Duffy's bio and history in the industry in our Texas A&M Alabama video, so check that out if you want to see what he has to say. Joe, another game you're going to discuss with us is Oregon at California. Now this one, I'll tell you right now, this is a pass for me. It's one of these spreads. California, obviously they're having all kinds of trouble. Oregon's awesome. California's a 28-point home underdog. The total's 67.5. California's quarterback is injured. Oregon does have Stanford and Oregon State up next. How do you bet this game? I'm passing. What do you think?
Exactly. Actually, part of my answer was in your question that the biggest change that I've made in the 25 plus years I've been in the business is in recent years, after years of experience, I've noticed that the certain spots teams are going to have their letdowns. And that's what I'm expecting here from Oregon. It's a classic sandwich game. They had that wild game last week against a very good USC team. USC's obviously underachieving, but remember, this was a team that was good enough to be number one in a lot of preseason polls. So that was an emotional game last week. And as you said, classic look ahead. They're playing against a rock-solid Stanford team, and then they got the big rivalry game against Oregon State, which is going to be quite tough. So this is a classic quote-unquote sandwich game. Reminds me a lot of Notre Dame last week. Notre Dame, of course, was off of the big win against Oklahoma. They've got some tough games coming up. They were in a classic letdown situation against Pitt. Now, Pitt's probably a little bit better team than California, but laying the big number here, I just think this is a classic trap game. Of course, Oregon's quarterback, Marcus Mariota. I always want to call him Mariotti, but Mariota is a heck of a player, but he is a redshirt freshman, so he's even more vulnerable to a letdown situation here. So the schedule maker, I think, has been very kind to California, a decent team, not a very good team, but a dangerous team that's getting a ton of points. But more so, I'm betting against Oregon because they are in such a very tough spot, a classic sandwich game as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I'll tell you the difference with the Notre Dame game, though. Two main differences. First of all, California's, Maynard quarterback is injured, which Pitt did not have the problem with. And also, the total in this game is so much higher. I mean, Oregon is made to, they can just put up points in a hurry, whereas Notre Dame is not, is more predicated on defense. So, when you see a near 20-point spread, it's more attractive to take the underdog there. I guess I'm just nervous that, how do you bet against Oregon, though? You know what I mean? I mean, their offense is so with a team that wasn't good to begin with, and their starting quarterback injured, and the backup quarterback hasn't really looked very good.
Now, I agree with that, but as we spoke about in the last video, that successful gamblers have to be able to have the guts to go against quality teams in the right situation, with bad teams in the right situation. And I will also add that Pittsburgh had another advantage going for them that California, I don't think, has anything analogous. When they had that off-season or the off-the-field problems with Ray Graham, the teams rally around adversity short term, and that was also something that I was actually in Pitt's favor, that they had something else to rally around. I'm not saying it reminds me exactly of that situation, but California is a dangerous enough team, but as I said, it's more so betting against Oregon in a very brutal spot. And that's another one of my golden rules. When a team is undefeated, the later they go on in the year, I hate to use cliches, but there are some sports cliches that have handicapping value, and that the deeper undefeated teams go into the season, they do, quote unquote, in situations like this, play not to lose rather than to win. And that's something I'll be betting on in this situation.
Absolutely. No, it makes sense to me. We saw that with the Patriots when they used to go, in the week 14, 13, undefeated, and they would constantly be a great bet the first three quarters of the season, bad bet in the last quarter. Great preview, Joe Duffy. Thanks.